everybody, it's Pam with Silver and Sparkles. And I have a lovely 2-page project for us today. And I'm gonna show you the one I made, and then we're gonna use a completely different set of papers so you can see the project, I guess from two different options. Someone mentioned to me the other day that they had, I think I had done one-page wonder with a different set of papers, and I'm trying to remember who it was now. It may have been Septeria, but anyway, and I had said, I saw this on her channel and I made it, and somebody commented, they said, I saw it on her channel, but I liked it, but the paper you chose made all the difference, and I'm going to try it now. And I started thinking about that, and I thought, even though I think most of us here on YouTube, encourage you to use the paper that makes you happy, what you have on hand, isn't this beautiful? Those types of things, sometimes it's hard to see if you're going to like it, just depending on the paper that the creator decided to use. And so I wanted some paper that went with this button right here. In fact, I have a bag of them that I got for $2. There's one that has blue flowers. The rest, I believe, are black. They reminded me of Mahjong tiles. My mom, back in the day when she was with us, she used to play Mahjong, and these feel and look kind of like that Japanese or Chinese, the tiles that it's made out of. I'm not even quite sure what it is. I know it's not marble, China maybe, I'm not sure. But I've had these and I've been looking for something. So I picked this paper. It's by Liana Scraps, and it's her Japanese Gold Junk Journal Kit. And I made the base out of 8.5 by 11 cardstock in white. And I love it. I think it's gorgeous, and it is perfect with the buttons. So I'm really envisioning this one the way I designed it. It has pocket here, pocket on the front, journaling space. I really see this as journaling space in the images. Obviously, you could sew a signature in if you wanted, but just, very simple and beautiful, and I love it. So I want to show you, though, the exact same design of folio. When you use different papers, add a bunch of different pockets and other things, it's a completely different project. So we're going to do that today just for fun. And I will link the paper kits that I'm using, the measurements, the scoring, all of that down in the description below for you. So we're going to set that aside. What you need to start to make the base of the folio is 2 pieces of 8.5 by 11 cardstock. You can use solid like I'm doing, the white or the craft. You could use scrapbook paper cut to that size if you wanted to and didn't want to have, this kind of layering effect. I liked how the pages did because it looks like a little bit like a waterfall. So you decide what you want to use. You could use digitals, whatever. Oh, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to cut one of them. One we're going to leave 8.5 by 11. The other one, I'm going to look at my notes. We are going to cut on the 11-inch side at 8 inches. So we will have a piece now that is 8.5 by 8. We are using this piece, and the full sheet. So you need all 3 pieces. And I have extra in case I want to use it for any layering or cards or something. All right. So let's do a little bit of scoring. I'm going to set this out of the way. I may need to refer to it. All right, your 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. You are going to score on the 11-inch side at 1.5 inches. And then you're going to score it at 5.5. That's halfway. So like if you folded the paper in half, but it looks nice and neat if you score it. But you don't have to. You could use if you don't have a scoreboard, you could use a ruler or something. Okay, with the 8.5 piece of paper, on the 8-inch side, you have to make sure you're on the 8-inch side. It is almost a square. I want you to score it at 3 inches. And that one's done. And then the small one, the 3 inch by 8.5 inch, score it at a 1/2 inch. If it's hard for you to do that, you know, sometimes I went off right then. You could do, you know, 2.5 inches. It's the same thing. 1/2 inch. We're just going to be making a little hinge to attach it. All right, that's your scoring. So let's crease everything on the score lines as neat as we can. Now, before we start gluing anything together, I do some of the layering, because that way the pretty papers that I'm layering, I can line up, and you'll see what I mean here in a minute. This is that one. Okay. This is craft cardstock. I got this particular cardstock at Hobby Lobby, and it's, you know, pretty sturdy. They don't tell you what weight it is, so I apologize, but it is the craft paper from Hobby Lobby if you're in the United States. Okay, now I'm going to use, for the one we're going to make together, my distressed vintage kit. So I have a bunch of the fussy cuts, the cards, the tags. This is my newer kit that's out on Etsy. I'll link it. And there's a freebie. I'll make sure I link that. There is there are fussy cuts, tags, fun background pages, right? And some solids. So if you've already grabbed this kit, that's the freebie right there. If you've already grabbed the kit, you can use that if you want to, but again, use whatever you have on hand. It will make it will work. Okay. So this is the piece. This is the full 8.5 by 11 that we scored at that 1.5 inch and 5.5. So this is going to be your cover, and this flap actually folds back this way. So once you fold it in half, you have a score line here. Just fold it back, and this is going to be that front pocket. But don't glue it down yet, because like I said, when you layer the papers, it's nice to put this paper down first, then glue the pocket down. So you don't glue it yet. This is going to open up, and we are going to install this page right here as a pocket, and then as the page. And this is what starts to give you, and of course with all the pretty papers layered, that waterfall look. Now, to hopefully make this a little easier for you guys to see where I folded and where we're gluing things, I am going to take just a minute, and I'm going to add some distress ink. On the one I made with the Japanese gold junk journal kit, I didn't ink. I used the white cardstock, and the papers just, I think it would have looked nice inked, especially with this tea dye. And in fact, I take that back. I inked one thing. I don't want to get ink all over this. So leave this open. I inked around this circle. I punched out that bird in a circle shape. And that's the only thing. I put just a touch of the tea dye ink. I thought it popped it out with the yellow. It just wasn't working for me on that page, but I didn't ink anywhere else on this one. So again, inking, a lot of times I'll say inking is optional, and it truly is. All right. But I want y'all to be able to see on this one, and of course, you know, I'm a big inker, and with the distressed vintage papers, I think the ink will look wonderful. So this is a folio, it could be a journal. Like I said, you could easily sew a signature into this one that comes together quickly, and again, I think looks nice. I am kind of enjoying some of these 2-page projects because I can make a little bit bigger folio. And I love the one-page wonders, of course, but this is kind of nice because then we get a few things that are a little bit bigger, especially if you want to be, you know, doing a little more writing, that type of thing, or perhaps add your photos or, you know, some larger images, those types of things. So I think I'm really going to be happy with this one, with the craft cardstock and the distressed vintage papers. All right, and I can always add a touch more ink later on the edges, right? It's harder to ink once you get everything put together, like on the score lines or on a pocket or something. But the edges can always be inked more. Okay, so I have this inked, I have this inked. Oh, and this is my last little piece, and I'll show you how it attaches on. And I decided I wanted to use the full 2 pages. And there's several things we could have done with this piece, but I kind of like it. If you don't want such a narrow little page, you can extend it, of course, when you know, with some more paper. I think it would be cute. I left it in the original as journaling space, you know, a nice little narrow spot, maybe to put some quotes or a poem or a letter. But I think it would also be cute for some little stacked pockets or something. So, all right, so let's work on the cover first. I have prepared my layering papers. I don't know how they're going to look because I didn't lay them out together, but I did go ahead and cut them. I haven't inked them. Front cover. Front cover. And I will have all of this again in the description for you down below, the measurements, so you don't have to worry about taking notes. Or if you want to craft with me, you can refer to that as we go, or come back later after you've watched the video, and then you can just cut your paper. But you're always welcome to watch the videos more than once. Sometimes people say, gosh, I had to watch it a few times. And I certainly don't want you to feel like, you know, it's unclear, so you have to. But if it helps, it's fun. All right. So the first piece I'm going to layer. I want to make sure, though, that I like how I have this. And I do, because this is, you know, we're going to see that little gap of the craft cardstock, but I like it, but the image is flowing together. Okay. So I meant to, this is that crazy one that I've lost the tip, and I meant to fill a new bottle of glue. And I forgot to before I started recording, so we're going to use it. I found another one that I have that I've been using, but it, and we may have to use it too. We'll see. But it, what did it do? It's kind of like leaking at the top. It's old, and I found it down in a bag where I'd taken it to a craft day somewhere. So it was down in one of my bags that I travel with when I go somewhere else to craft or hold a workshop. Anyway, so here we are. All right, so now I'm going to put this strip down, and I'll have it, you know, like I said, the measurements for you. The height is 8 1/4, and then I just wanted the border around. So, all right, so that's going to be the cover, and of course, when we decorate, this is going to be the pocket. Now, on my prototype, I shortened the pocket, and I'm going to do that here. I think I'm going to add glue on the three, oh, not on that side. That's where I want to leave it open, right? But if I shorten it, I'm going to come down to about right here. So it was actually okay that I did that. Just sometimes it helps it not gap quite. Sometimes it'll gap. I don't know why. And things slide out unless you do something, you know, that full height. Anyway, I'm closing it up. See how it kind of, I don't know. So it's roomy. It's not a bad thing that it's roomy, but it's roomy. All right. Yay. So now we are going to work on this panel, and then we can install this page. So where are my papers? Okay. Again, I have this ready. And that is correct. Okay, so this piece is part of that inside front cover. And again, it is 8 1/4 inches tall. I'm not quite sure exactly how wide it is. Let's see, it is 1 1/4. And we're gonna glue it down. This does not go next to it, so don't glue your next piece if you've gotten ambitious and cut your papers. Just wait 1 second. Let me show you how it's going to layer on here. All right, so we'll put this one down first. And I decided to use some of the solids too. I thought that would be pretty. And they're not exactly solid. I mentioned that before. They have some, you know, some texture to them, but they're definitely not like a floral pattern. Okay, this piece is going to go on this panel, and then we're going to glue down into a pocket, and then we'll have the page. So let me get this inked very quickly for you. I should have probably inked these before I started videoing. Okay, so this is your piece that's 8 1/2 by 8, and it has what looks like a flap. It's going to become the pocket and the page. Make sure I have enough ink where I want it. Okay, so it's going to install right here. We won't cross over the center line. So this is where we want our pretty paper, right here. I haven't really thought about, I think I'm just going to put it like that. I haven't looked at the other papers I've cut. I'm just going to hope that I like how they look. I was very intentional with the Japanese papers, and I'll show you that again. I looked at the patterns and cut and trimmed the paper specifically to flow on each layer. Let me show you that. And I love that. So these two were a piece of paper, you know, that I cut and layered. And then this was a page with the house and some of the same flowers. And then I came over with a different piece. And then I used similar papers from the kit to make this spread. And then I just really liked that page. So I was very intentional in doing that. The prototype, this one, I just cut the papers to the right sizes, and we're just going to let them be much more that, you know, in my mind, you know, that junk journal style, and nice and fun and eclectic. Okay, I want it open on this side because it's a pocket. So I'm going to flip it over, hold it on this side, and I need glue along the top, bottom, and this crease right here. This is what's going to hold this page in. All right, so it's going to go down just like this. I am going to hold it like this. And I hope you guys can see the score line. I'm not going over it. Open it up, you can see it right there. I'm gonna let that grab. Okay. Oh, happy. There's the front. All right, now we are on to this page. on the prototype, this is the page that I put the button on for my then string closure. I haven't planned yet what button or what kind of closure we're going to do, so I'm just going to go and layer the papers. That's what I did with the first one. I sewed the button on at the end, and I didn't worry about the fact that there are a few strings right here on this page. If that's going to bother you, you're going to want to put your paper here, figure out your closure before you lay your paper on this back side. I hope that made sense. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to put my paper down. So I have two pieces. I have one of the green that they measure the same. They're 8 1/4 by 4 3/4. And one is going to go here, and one is going to go here. Now, before I decide which one I'm going to put, I'm thinking I'm leaning towards the green and keep the green together, but I want to see what my other papers are that I already cut. So let me just ink this real quick. I also need to put the last little narrow page on before we cover the back too, because I like the back being covered on this project. And you can leave it plain if you want to. There's nothing wrong with the craft cardstock. Okay, those are ready. So let's go ahead before we layer and let's attach this last page. I am going to snip the corners, miter them just a touch, because this piece is going to wrap around the edge. It's going to be right here, a little page. And then I'm going to layer paper over it. You won't see this seam, all right? But I do want to add just a touch more ink. It's just so much easier to do it now. So thank you guys for spending time with me today. I am really glad you're here, and I appreciate you watching my videos. All right, and I hope that you will hit the thumbs up button and that you will leave me a comment and subscribe if you have not subscribed. Okay, so this is going to get attached right there. One thing that I liked about wrapping it around is this was folded over. This one doesn't have a wraparound, but it makes the front cover and the back cover feel similar. All right, so I have it on there. I'm just holding it down. We're going to add glue to the flap and push it down. And then it will get also sandwiched under the pretty paper we're going to put on the back in a little bit. Okay, there we go, it's there. All right, so the paper I chose for this panel is right here. And that's why I wanted to go ahead and get that done so I can decide, yeah, that'll be pretty, which one I wanted to put on the front and which one on the back. So this can be good journaling space, even though it's green, or we can add pockets and tucks and those types of things. So this one, again, is the 8 1/4. I think I already gave you the measurement, but it'll be in the description. All right. And again, let me just point out, if you don't want to do all this layering, use scrapbook paper that's double-sided, or print a digital that's 8 1/2 by 11, and then just attach it the way I've attached it, and you don't have to do the layering. Just, you know, some people don't want to do that, and this would be a great project to make out of some beautiful scrapbook paper, just cut to the sides. Again, whatever paper you choose, definitely the project will take on that look, right? All right, so I've got two nice spots that I can decorate, leave for journaling with a little decoration, or use for something else. All right, and then for this back inside panel, because this is the back cover. I went with another one of the florals. Okay, fun. And I'm just gonna lay it right there. This one's 8 1/4 by 5 1/4. All right. I've almost used up all the glue in this bottle, so I can throw it away. I mean, it works, obviously, even with the tip being down in the bottle, not where it's supposed to be. And I don't want to waste the glue, so I certainly didn't throw it away. And I could have probably tried to pour it into a different bottle, but I just kept going with it. Okay, so now I have, oh, okay, I remember what I did. I have a piece that is the 8 1/4 by 2 1/4. And then I decided I had a piece that wasn't 2 1/4. So I thought I'll use 2 little pieces or 2 pieces to just layer one of these. So I'm going to put this one here. Let's see, because this will be on here. That's a lot of green. Would I rather have it like this and then open it up and have some green? No, I like all the green. Okay, so let me show you how I'm going to do it. We're going to put this one down. This one was the right size to layer on the panel. So again, if you are using your pretty papers and you're like, it needs to have the same margin, it needs to be 2 1/4. Mine's only 2. What do I do? Well, you can cut another piece of paper, of course, or you can do what I'm about to do and patch it together. So this one is a little under 2 inches, I remember, because I was sitting here debating if I was going to use it or what, if I was going to just pick a different paper. And I have this strip that is 8 1/4 inches tall, and I think it's like an inch. Is that right? Is it an inch? It's just an offcut. I sort of want a torn edge, and I'm going to have to be careful not to tear too much or it won't be big enough. But I'm going to tear a tiny sliver off. And I think this is going to look nice. Just have to decide where I want it. Okay, so this is the front of the journal. And if I put the torn edge here, ooh, I like that. We'll have, and you know, and it's similar. Okay, so we're gonna put it to this side. So a little more ink, and we'll ink that torn edge, and then we'll be ready to glue it down. And then we just have to glue the back panel on and then have fun making, you know, decorating. And this is where I'm going to be able, well, you can already tell it looks completely different because I'm using a very, very different style of paper and color palette. But fun, right? They're both fun. And depending on your mood or who you're giving it to or what someone really likes, you know, and I like both, and it's okay, of course, to like both and to play with a variety of papers, okay, and styles. Love it, love it. Okay. All right, so there's our cover. It opens up. We have a pocket, a page, a little skinny page. Now let's cover the back. There we go, and there's the piece that I had prepared for that. It is 8 1/4 by 5 1/4. So same as that inside back panel. And these papers don't need a lot of ink. It's more, I'm just trying to get that white core, that edge where, you know, the edge of the paper, because I don't like to see that. gonna turn it this way. Okay. And this is, I think, going to look great. And I'm actually kind of happy that I used this glue bottle because, like I said, I'm going to be able to let it go soon. All right, hopefully I got that mostly straight. Kind of burnish it down to get that glue spread out and everything's sticking. Oh, wow. Isn't it pretty? It's so different, though. And I love that. Okay, so this paper kit, like I said, I think it just lends itself to making pockets, pull-outs, flips, all kinds of things. This is where I meant to mention, you know, if you didn't want this little short page, this isn't necessarily the right paper or the right size, but you could extend it. Just add paper instead of just layering with the border. You know, we could have just added more paper, used more cardstock, whatever you like. But I like the little page. I might even put a tab on here. Because this one we're going to do a little more embellishing and decorating. So the first thing I do think I'm going to think about is a closure. And I'm reaching over here to look at some of my buttons. Let me see if I can just pull this bin out. Some are ones, you know, that I just get at the craft stores, and then there are some are vintage. These are, oh gosh, these also look like Mahjong tiles. Aren't those pretty? I don't know that red. I really like the black, but I might be able to find some paper and use those. Those are pretty. Okay. Okay, I'm going to try not to get too distracted. I wonder what that is. That came in, obviously, just in something. All right, that one is a little big, but I kind of like the color and the earthy look to it. Similar to this. Wow, what do you, how do I attach that? I guess I would have to sew it almost like a sequin. That would be a challenge. Don't know that it would be the best closure. I'm going to have to think about that one whole button there. Maybe we'll make something in it, maybe a cluster or something with it. Here's a cute little fish. Is it a fish or a bird? I don't know. I think it's a fish. I don't think it's going to work for what I want. I went to the wood just because I thought it would look pretty. All right, here's another fish bird that only has 2 holes. That other one had 3, and that felt a little overwhelming. This one maybe looks a little more like a leaf. All right, do we like that one or do we like the one that looks like a flower? Oh gosh, I'm kind of, I don't know. I love this one. I'm going to do the odd one. We're just going to do it. And this one looks more like a leaf instead of the fish bird. Now, I don't usually sew buttons on when I'm on camera. Every once in a while I have. I'm going to get a little more thread. But today is special. I don't know why it's special, but it is. And we're going to hopefully not spend a lot of time sewing on this button. But I do want a button on here. So at least the needle and thread cooperated so far. And let's see. So often I will mark the center or I will eyeball it. Today I'm going to, you know, show you good practices today. How's that? 4 1/4 is half of 8 1/2. And I'm going to just, that's the center. So when I think about my little button, I think I kind of want them at an angle like this, hopefully. And there's 2 holes. Now I don't want to go through I only want to go through this page, this layer. I am going to poke a hole, and I'm going to just use my needle. I think I can just use my needle. If I have to, I'll get my paper piercer out. Just because I don't want the hole to be bigger than it has to be. All right. Sorry, I'm flipping the paper so much. Okay, so this is just like if you were sewing on fabric, I'm just going to sew the little button down. And I think the second hole will do okay right there. Okay, I think this will look cute. I definitely, it's definitely a, you know, a different shape and organic, and the papers, you know, have all the florals. So I think it goes. It's hard for me to pass up though a button that has like a flower on it. When I found that one too, I was like, all right, this is gonna be easier if I turn it. That's the only reason I'm turning it. I hope I can get it through the correct hole. All right, I'm only gonna go one more time through. I think it'll be enough. Now, when you're using button on paper, and even though I've got the cardstock, you still want to be gentle, you know? And like when I put some twine and something under there, because it can easily, unfortunately, pop off if you're too rough. And so I just try to always be gentle with my, you know, my paper crafts, my journals and things. Now, I wasn't super neat with the thread. The other one looked much better at the end of the day. So I may cover this up with something, you know, do a strip of paper on here, an edger or a circle or something, but we'll see. Oh, yes. I like it. I think the brown is great. After we do a little more decorating, I'll pick out some twine or something for it. Okay. Again, probably something very natural, organic looking. Now, I am going to not spend a lot of time making like tags. There's all kinds in the kit. And of course, for this to be finished, we're gonna want beautiful tags and ribbons poking out and all of the things. But what I wanted to spend a little time on is I want to think about this edge and then do some type of pocket and a little decoration on this page. I think that's my priority. And the decoration might be something as simple as, you know, a label, this flower I have in my hand. This is not part of my kit. Something that got mixed in there. I don't know. Do I want a flower? Do I want a bird? Maybe I'll decide after I pick the pocket. Pick the pocket. Pick pocket. No, after I select the pocket. So I have this piece that I hand tore. I could trim it down and it would be a nice edger and cover up the string. I also have this piece. I have plenty of the papers from the kit, you know, that we can choose from. So I think I'm going to go with this one. I'm going to pull, this is from when I was making the journal that I showed you guys when I introduced the kit. Get a little bit of the white core. Oh, did I get that too narrow? That looks strange, so we're going to take a little more off. So hopefully it doesn't look strange. If it does, we'll pick a different piece. Didn't like the big curve that I put in there. Okay, I think that's enough. I am going to, you know what, I'll finger tear. We'll have, you know, torn edges, just really tiny at the top and bottom too. Yeah, and it'll just fit right in there. Okay. Like I said, the thread doesn't really bother me, and if it hadn't gotten kind of gunked up there, I may have just left it. One way to solve it, of course, is to sew that button on before you glue this paper down. But this is a solution too. Okay, glue. We could have added another pocket here. I really want this, again, to have writing space, I think, but more pockets than the other one. Okay, have some writing space. Okay, let me think about what paper would make a fun pocket. I'm thinking crisscross pockets. So I need a square which means I need to pick another paper. And I think I want it to be one of the patterned ones, not one of the solids. I'm gonna go with this one. I think I said in the last video, this is one of my favorites. I like all of them. I also have the freebie. Ooh, let's do that. Okay, that coordinates. And if you end up purchasing the kit, you don't have to go grab the freebie. I included in the kit on Etsy, so you don't have to download from 2 places. But I cut these out. I don't know if they're big enough really for this panel, but let's see what happens if I cut the square on the diagonal. Let's just see what happens. And put one here. They'll end up with the going different ways. Oh, yeah, that's kind of fun. I was envisioning it being a little bit larger, but that's okay. We'll use that. All right, so you can use one of the squares if you want to. And make yourself 2 simple triangle pockets. Very simple. And I'm gonna install them this way. So I'm gonna hold it on the opening, glue, hopefully, on the 2 sides. Lots of pattern going on, Pam. Pam's patterns. Okay, and then this side. Okay. And then, again, we can embellish these, add ribbons, do a lot of extra, right? But for right now, I'm just gonna put these in. Now, I want to decide, I think I'm gonna go with a flower. I'm gonna go with a flower, and I think I'm going to add a number label on this pocket. Just for a little interest. Okay. I'm hoping when I have time to make some more seam binding ribbon, I will be able to make some in some fun earthy tones. I'm gonna try anyway, that would look really pretty with this paper kit. It's one of my goals. And I'm gonna do the colors that I already sold out of as well, because I love those for summer, and they go, the pinks and the blues and the yellows and the greens, I think they go with a lot of things. Cute, so cute. Can journal, oh, I need to stick a few things in here. Oh, look, and they fit. Ha, I love that. All right, so again, imagine these with some cute little ribbon toppers. Very sweet. Okay, now on this pocket, let's pick something. I'm thinking maybe a number. We could also, you could grab a word. I've got the word freebies on Buy Me a Coffee, and I also have my handwritten word kits. I'm gonna just put that right there. I decided on this one to help embellish. Oh, I remembered I wanted to put a tab here. So let's get the whale punch. And this one is old, and I've had a lot of people ask me about it. There's a very similar one in my Amazon storefront, and it's Whale, W-H-A-L-E, and you can pop over, and it's in the tools section, and there's a link for you. So if that's of interest, it's not a must-have. You can make tabs, without a punch. So you can think about that. Okay, I like this. Just to give it, again, a little more to look at. Just hold that down, get it where make sure it's where I want it before, oh, Didn't double check my flower, did I? We're gonna put it on anyway, but I would not have put it here if I had remembered the flower. Before you glue, look at both sides. It's okay. I'm not gonna let it upset me. Everything will be fine. All right, do I want to maybe a skinny number or just leave it? I think I'm just gonna leave it. I do have this little birdie. Oh yeah, that little birdie. Now, the back of this, it isn't white, but it's like a lighter little brown. I'm just gonna let my Distress ink come over it just a touch so it's not quite as bright. And I'm gonna glue this bird. Yeah, I'm gonna put him up here. Okay, have a bird. Super cute. Super cute. I'm going to leave that for writing. Writing. Yeah, I love it. I'm very happy. If you wanted to, you could put a pocket or some kind of, even like a diagonal one might be fun to like put large things in. That would be fun. You could just keep going. All right, I'm thinking even like just the skinny twine. Because this button, oh, I've got plenty of room under there, but I'm not going to use the baker's twine. I have browns that would work, but I'm going to go kind of rustic with this. All right, so I just tied it under there. And sometimes I even knot it, but I think this is going to be fine. And the other one I ran around 3 times, and sometimes it's a little much. I like how it looks. But if you're opening it and closing it, let's see. Do I like? Yeah, I like having 3. Okay. So then I can do this. Gently, Pam, wrap it around. Have a tail. Tie a knot, just because I don't want this to fray. Yeah, it could be cut. All right, you can also add a bead. You could add, you know, glue a little circle or heart paper to it. Cute. All right, so let's look at the 2 side by side, because this was kind of my point. And I know depending on the paper, a lot of people won't even try a project, and that's okay. But you can come up with 2 completely different looking little journals just based on the paper kit you choose. I love them. I love them both. They make me happy. And I hope you have some paper that makes you happy and you will try making one. Let's just look at the one we made together one more time. And I'm looking forward to decorating those a little bit. Open. Decorating these up. Very simple. If you want to do a pamphlet stitch and sew some papers in. All right, y'all have a great day. Until next time, thank you for watching.